You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate. What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888-TAXI-GUY or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? It's your boy DC, Thursday night host of Rogers Out of the Fog.
Right, you kind of got to make your own fun.
Yeah.
Which was a transition for me going into the morning show here.
Proud. Keep doing the amazing work, will you?
They're learning about how to hire people.
20 years of local matter, so join me every Thursday night and see what's going on in the fog.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel. We have a jam-packed episode ahead for you guys today. We are joined by two climate activists for Fridays for Future St. John's, and we'll also get a chance to talk to Ed Martin, who's the director of the Munn Center for Entrepreneurship. So sit back, relax, and we'll get right to it. Welcome back, everyone. We are joined by two representatives for Fridays for Future St. John's. I'm joined by Rachel Sutton and Kassie Drodge. Rachel is the youth executive, and Cassandra is a member of Fridays for Futures. Thank you for joining me, folks.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
So I'd like to take a chance to let our viewers know a little bit about what Fridays for Future is. So Rachel, as youth executive, can you give us a little bit of information?
Yeah, so Fridays for Future is kind of like a global climate movement, and it was started by Greta Thunberg in 2019. And she was protesting outside of the Swedish parliament about climate change and their policies. And so she would leave school every Friday and go and protest and sit there. And it got a lot of media attention and it got a lot of support. And eventually it just kind of became this global movement. And so in 2019, some students at Holy Heart decided to make a local branch here. And that's kind of where we are now.
Okay, so it's been here since 2019, and what made it something that you wanted to be involved in?
Just the climate crisis. It's pretty scary. It's definitely something I'm going to have to deal with throughout my life. And so I wanted to kind of try and find a way to take action on that.
So Kassie, as a well-known and accomplished climate activist, what was important for you in supporting Fridays for Future?
Yeah, well, thank you for the compliment, and thank you for that great question. You know, the thing about the climate crisis is that it's not necessarily something that should be considered an instantaneous or one moment thing. This is something that is going to be threatening future generations, and it will continue to threaten all living things, you know, if we don't take action right now. And the most important part, I guess, of this entire movement with regards to Fridays for Future St. John's is that we do have direct asks that directly relate to how Newfoundland and Labrador as a province can take climate action with regards to dealing with climate change. You know, and our first ask is to completely stop oil and gas exploration and basically to call out for the, I guess, descaling or the divestment of all oil and gas projects and the ones that are also currently happening, to look at what's happening there and to kind of just kind of dial down production on current oil and gas projects. The second one is for MUN to divest in oil and gas sponsorships and funding. And the third one, is for the province to invest in just transition and indigenous-based industry, small-scale industry, preferably in and throughout the province. So these three things can work together so that we can actually hopefully hit our climate goal of only exceeding 1.5% Celsius by 2030. Although I would like to note that the International Energy Agency, the IEA, they have suggested and scientists have said that we will be reaching 1.5 degree by 2027. So to kind of mitigate that, or to at least kind of alleviate that rise in temperature, if we start taking those three steps seriously, we can combat climate change.
So Rachel, sorry, almost called you Rebecca.
Okay.
As a youth this is something that you guys, as you said, are going to be dealing with for a while. How are you feeling going up against such large corporations and trying to make sure that your voice is heard for such an important topic?
It's definitely scary. It's something to be putting your voice out there and saying, like, this is what I believe in, when like, my voice doesn't hold a lot of weight right now, obviously. But working with an organization like this that has such support and has such great people, like, it really makes it a lot better. And it's very empowering to know that, like, I'm involved in trying to make change.
And how do you find that communing and getting together with other youth who are as influential and as dedicated to this subject feels for re-fostering that initiative for you?
Yeah, it's been great to get together with other youth who kind of feel the same way. And again, just really motivating to know that there are other people who also are trying to do something about this, and it's great.
So you guys recently had a rally. So how did the organization of that come to be, and what was executing that like for you guys?
Well, I'm very new to the movement, so I don't know I don't know the origins of the general plan, but I think it was just like there was a global strike happening on the same day, and we had kind of taken a hiatus as an organization. And I think it was just kind of putting it back together. And so on the day we held our climate strike, all across the world, internationally, people were also striking with the same outline of an end to fossil fuels was kind of the theme of all of those strikes. And so that was kind of where the plan came from. Everything kind of just fell under that. Yeah.
So to either of you, I know when this strike was happening, this was during school hours. Back to school had recently just started. What was the reception from the Newfoundland Labrador English District School Department for you guys?
It was a very delayed response, and they had a lot on their plates at the time, understandably so. But it was frustrating because without a yes or a no, individual schools could not give support, nor could they not promote it. So we were stuck in kind of this just like limbo where teachers couldn't say, oh, go, like we have the okay, but they also couldn't say, oh, don't go. So it was very difficult to kind of get the message out to students because of that.
And Kassie, as a member of MUN and who's been part of MUN Social Action, what was that like from the university community?
Well, we were quite pleased that the Senate granted academic amnesty basically unanimously, because it felt like the institution supported our voice as well as supported a future for all. I can't stress enough how destructive 1.5 degrees will be. Right now, we're seeing, even this summer, folks have to go to the hospital, especially older folks, because of rising heat temperatures. We saw almost 40 degrees Celsius here. And even last year, Hurricane Fiona, which, destroyed Port aux Basques, is an after effect of these rising climate temperatures, because as temperatures rise, more moisture is in the air, and so this is basically like charging. It's a conductor for weather systems to kind of just become these mega hurricanes, mega floods, and so by MUN granting academic amnesty to kind of talk about these things solidifies the fact that MUN, first of all, is interested in hearing the voices of the youth. Second of all, they're interested in continuing a future, for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. And thirdly, I would hope that they would be open to speaking to us about divesting in oil and gas sponsors and funders. We haven't heard from them yet, but we still have hope, and hopefully someone from there sees this and they will take it upon themselves to write us, because we are definitely interested. We've been working with the student unions on this, especially MUNSU, and we really appreciate MUNFA coming out as well. So yeah, the support from the university is great. We would just like to get some meetings and maybe have some conversations with the decision makers at the top.
So, Rachel, what does the future for Fridays for Future look like in terms of future planning, future organizing? What would you like to see happen?
Definitely more of the kind of meeting with people. We'd love to meet with some politicians who could maybe help us, and we could chat about kind of what we want to see from our government in terms of a plan to kind of combat the climate crisis, and we want to see more happening. And in terms of an organization, we're looking for new members right now. We're always happy to have new people join, and we've got plans in the works for a climate strike at some point.
Okay, so for people who are watching and listening, where can they find you?
Instagram would be probably the best go-tos. We also have a Facebook account.
Okay. And so we have people of different ages who are looking, saying, okay, if this is a youth movement, is this open to anyone regardless of age?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We want all the support from anyone who wants to give it. It's more of a led by youth movement, but anybody who wants to be involved and is passionate about this, please reach out. We'd love to have you.
Okay, perfect. And Kassie, why do you think it's so important that this movement is being led by the youth?
Because, at the end of the day, we won't be here in 2070. Most of us, hopefully the majority of us will be here, but, naturally humans age, and, I think it's a responsibility as humans to be able to pass on an earth that is actually habitable. And, it's not looking that way right now. And so being able to give youth the voice not only gives them the confidence to move forward and actually look forward to a future, but we can also teach them skills and how to organize and how to talk about climate science or even understand climate science, because a lot of the times students are self-taught. There's been a lot of moments where we've just sat down as a group together and we've just went through the facts, and we have professors that are affiliated with Memorial University who actually help us with kind of fact-checking and giving us the information that we need to be able to go forward. And especially for the youth, the facts actually help kind of complete the picture of what they're experiencing. They're seeing the heat in the summers, they're seeing the snow melt in the winter, and it's very devastating for them. So being able to lend a voice and whatever tools we can as elders or as older community members, it means a lot.
Perfect. So we have just a few minutes before I have to let you guys go. If there was one message each of you wanted to pass on to our viewers watching and listening, what would you want them to know? So I'll start with you, Rachel.
I'd want them to know that, if this is something you care about, if you're passionate about this, if you're worried about what is happening to the climate, please, speak up, start to raise your voice, try and get involved or educate yourself a little bit more. That's really what we need here if we're going to try and combat this climate crisis.
And Kassie?
Hold your politicians and oil and gas stakeholders accountable for the climate damage that they're doing, and pressure them to invest in more just transition and renewable pathways, because we can do it. We have the people here, and I think all of us have open ears when it comes to discussing new industries. So push your politicians, push the stakeholders. Do not take any less for an answer.
I want to thank you both so much for joining me. It's clear to see that you're both very passionate about the climate, about what the future looks like, not just for us right now, but for the generations to come. So thank you for the hard work you're doing fighting climate change.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And we'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Ed Martin, Director of Mon Center for Entrepreneurship, Ed, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here because you and I have gotten to know each other a little bit, but I didn't know about Munn Center for Entrepreneurship up until earlier this year. So I want other people to know about the cool stuff that you guys are doing. So I guess we'll start with, what is the Center of Entrepreneurship?
So we're based at Memorial University. We're a center for all students across all of the different campuses at Munn. But really, our mission is to help every Memorial University student find and grow their inner entrepreneur.
Okay.
So that starts from helping students introduce them to the concept of entrepreneurship and what it is, all the way through to helping students, launch ventures, find customers, generate revenue, and of course, then everything in between.
Okay, so for a lot of people listening, and for me, the first time I heard anything about entrepreneurship, it was sitting in a business class, and I thought, never going to be me, not made for that life.
Yep.
How do you guys go about introducing entrepreneurship to people who either aren't in the business field and have never thought that could be a life for them?
I think we try to create a really low barrier to entry because I was that way as well.
Okay.
I did not see myself as becoming an entrepreneur in any way, and just kind of fell into it. And so I want to create more experiences like me. For me, and actually, it was one really bad work term where I was like, what am I doing with my life? I said I need to do something different. And that sort of led down an entrepreneurial path. But we want to create more of those opportunities for students. So like we have programs, for example, that you don't need to have a business idea whatsoever. You just want to be able to build some skills that will make it easier to find jobs, or to make you more likely to succeed, when you do get that job. Because I really believe that entrepreneurial skills can be applied absolutely anywhere. It doesn't mean you must found a company.
Okay, so how long, first of all, has MCE been part of Munn?
I believe it's about 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in that time, what do you think have been some of the greatest adventures for you as director?
Well, I've only been there a year.
Okay.
So I'm still pretty new and green, figuring it all out. Our previous director, MCE's done, I think, a lot of great things for the community. That's one of the reasons why I went there. I thought it was having tremendous impact. It's won awards for the international awards for the work it has done. But I've also seen that it's output a lot of phenomenal entrepreneurs. So that's really what me drew to it, as someone who's been an entrepreneur and who wanted an opportunity to really, I think, help students not make the mistakes that I made and every entrepreneur makes when they first get started. Yeah.
So in your year there, have there been any key moments where you sat there and you're like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be doing this kind of work?
Yeah, like every week probably. Okay. Working with students is really, really fun. And just seeing them grow, and you see these aha moments in their heads, when you help them understand, how to find an idea or get to that next level. It is definitely super rewarding. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about saying MCE has a variety of different programs that you guys run that help people from the I might have an idea to I'm fully ready to take this thing off the ground. What are your programs?
So the first one's called Disruptive Thinkers Club.
Okay.
It's a new one that we started in January, and it was really about building those entrepreneurial skills. There's been lots of studies on this, but we really kind of narrow it down to 7 key things that are entrepreneurial skills that are applicable to people who are founding companies, but also to anyone who wants to be an entrepreneurial person in any work environment.
Okay.
So that's the base program. We also have a brand new program launching this semester called Learn Launch. And this is for people who have an idea, who want to, what we say in the industry, is validate that idea, make sure there's a market, get to talking to customers, and then get it launched.
Okay.
Hence Learn Launch, and give people the skills to get companies off the ground. And then for those who sort of keep going after that, we have mentorship programming, and we have programs, we have different funding programs, we have a pitch competition, and we'll even, for students who are really committed to the program, we'll even pay them for a semester to do a full internship or a work term to grow their startup.
Okay. I know there's this really cool thing you guys have that comes with a trophy cup, we will call it. Can you share a little bit more about this great?
The Mel Woodward Cup, this is sort of our marquee annual competition. It's a big pitch competition.
Okay.
We get lots of applicants, very rigorous assessment process, but ultimately all culminates in the big Mel Woodward Cup finals that take place in March every year, with a $25,000 first prize, $15,000 second prize for that. So really great capital to help new ventures sort of get going. We've had a lot of great companies come through that program.
So
for those who are watching who are like, I've heard about it, I know I want to take part next year, when do the doors open for that?
In December.
Okay.
Yeah, applications open every year in December, but it's never too early to start thinking about that application and working with our coaches and the mentors at the center. You can just walk through our doors any single time. There's always someone there to chat with. So we don't like people to start thinking about it when the applications come out, because the more work you've done in advance, the more likely you are to have success with it.
So you talked about walking through your doors. Where are your doors?
We are in the engineering building, the SJ Crew building on Memorial University St. John's campus, EN 3075.
Okay, but you guys operate for all students as long as they're associated with MUN, correct?
That is right. Every single Memorial University student can avail of our services.
Okay, so does that extend to the MI?
Sure, absolutely.
That's fantastic to hear. So as an entrepreneur, as people who are watching who may or may not be, if they're sitting there thinking, I don't know if I'm ready for this, I don't know if I'm ready to reach out, what would you want them to know about the safety about coming into MCE?
I think it's completely safe. I mean, it is like really, all of our coaches and mentors, they're very wonderful people. That's number one. No one is scary or intimidating in any way. And they're just like to have chats. And you don't, again, it could be as simple as, entrepreneurship sounds interesting, but I just want to learn more. It could be that it could be that simple. Or you could just be saying, I would like to join a startup at some point. I'd like to know more about working for an early stage company. It can really be anything. It doesn't, I think the word entrepreneurship can be intimidating because you think that means founding a company, and that is scary for anyone, I think.
Yes.
Even if you've done it before, it's still scary. So I think just trying to make it really simple, and you can just go to our website and book a meeting with one of our coaches anytime whatsoever, and they're happy to chat about anything.
Oh my gosh. So for people on the other side who are entrepreneurs and well-founded and looking for ways to give back to burgeoning entrepreneurs, how can they get in contact with you guys, and how can they continue to foster this?
We're always looking for people to come in and mentor companies. We're doing a lot more of that now as well, trying to link up our students with professionals within the particular industry that they're working in. So that's a big part of it. We bring people in, sort of guest speakers all the time as well. Coming out to our events. These are just some of the ways that actually we're doing a lot more now as well to help bring in new ideas from industry. I think one of the things that students often struggle with the most is just coming up with an idea. It's hard.
Absolutely.
And we really coach students to don't try to come up with an idea, but look around you for problems. And that's really where you're going to come up with the good startup ideas. But we're working with industry to help them bring problems to us as well that we can assign students to and partner as we sort of try to solve more problems. And some of those problems might ultimately lead to new ventures.
That's so cool to hear. So we can't talk about entrepreneurship and business and all of that without talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that being a really big part of why some people do get into entrepreneurship. So what is MCE doing right now to support typically underrepresented and marginalized communities when it comes to that journey?
For sure, and in particular in entrepreneurship, you see, I look at gender diversity and socioeconomic diversity, I think being two huge barriers. There's many of them. Yeah. We have a brand new program launching this semester called Illuminate that is exclusively for women and gender diverse folks on campus. And again, really easy to get into, and it'll be both a training program and pitch competition.
Oh, wow.
So you don't need to want to pitch. You can just go and do the training portion, or you can do the other way around. Maybe you just want to pitch and you don't want to do the training. And we're featuring lots of strong female and gender diverse entrepreneurs in the community who are going to be coming in, providing mentorship, running training sessions and workshops, and then culminating with actually a really cool event. And this is one of the things that we're doing. I mean, we look at all of our programming across the board, the language we use, the people we hire, and everything in terms of trying to increase diversity in the center and then increase diversity in entrepreneurship in general, because it's not historically the most diverse place in the world, especially if you look at in technology.
Absolutely. So going to go back a little bit. So best ways for people to find out what's going on with MCE. Where do we find you digitally?
Digitally, our website, www.mun.ca/MCE, or just Google search Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship. That's got everything there. If you go to our programs page, it's got a listing of every program and a nice little chart to help you sort of find the one that's the best fit for you. And then again, you can always just book a meeting with our coach, because where there's a lot of stuff going on, they will help guide you any step of the way.
Fantastic. And you guys exist on socials as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook, I think those are probably the two most common ones. LinkedIn, of course, be our three most active social media channels. Certainly Instagram for sure, mun_MCE.
Okay. And for people who are watching right now, before I let you go, what's the one thing you would like them to know about MCE or entrepreneurship as they begin to pique their interest?
I'm going to say the number one thing, and I touched on this a little bit, is we tend to think of it as a very intimidating thing. And coming up with an idea is hard, and it can be really stressful. Look for problems. That is the key to getting key ventures off the ground. It could be a small problem as little as, I like a particular type of food, but I don't see anything in this town that fits that description for me, all the way through to, climate change is obviously a huge, huge problem, and but you find, more subset problems of that. But it really is keep your eye out all around you to find problems, and that's what can help lead to trying to find fix those problems are often where a lot of the strongest startup ideas come from.
I want to thank you so much for joining me to talk about MC and all the great work you guys are doing. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
And we'll be right back, everyone. I want to give a very special thank you to my guests for joining me today, and thank you to our Fridays for Future for talking to us about climate change and climate activism. If you're looking to find out more about what they're doing, please don't hesitate to check them out on social media. And a very special thank you to Ed and the Center for Entrepreneurship. If you're looking to get involved in any of their programs, feel free to check out their website or their social media for all of the things they have coming up. And I can't wait to see you guys again next time. Have a great day.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 Taxi Guy, or you could use the Arrival Live smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS